in real life than she does on screen. And we are thrilled to have them with us. And just a quick little story, a little backstory. I've been hanging out with them for the last hour, which has been lovely and fun. I've been laughing, which has been really nice. But it's been sort of a circuitous route how we got here, actually, because I want to say, now this movie's been nominated for many awards, and it's won a whole bunch of awards. And it was at Sundance, not this past year, the year before, right? Mm-hmm. So I had a friend who lives in town, and she's like, oh my God, you have to see this film. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she proceeded to explain to me what the film was. And then she's like, I think your friends know the person who knows the person who knows the person. And we figured out the friends know the people who know the people who know the people who know the people. And they finally put us in touch with her, and so we were thrilled. And I was like, we saw it, and we're like, that's the movie that we want. So it's been, you've won a whole bunch, you've been nominated, like I said, for many, many awards. And you've won a whole bunch of awards, and the GLAAD one being the most recent one, right? And in case you didn't know, you were nominated for it and won the North Jersey Pride one that we're doing tonight. How about that? And your award is this. Everybody here.
That is awesome. Thank you.
So, let's see. I'm going to ask a few questions. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to ask a few questions of both of them, and then we're just going to kind of open it up to everyone out here. I guess, well, first of all, so this is North Jersey Pride. So we're like, all right, we have to have some kind of GLBTQ by some kind of film.
You say GLBTQ.
Yeah, it's because I'm the age.
Because I'm from the 90s, and
Yes.
I always say GLBT, and everybody always corrects me, and I'm like, you know how like if you're Jewish and you speak Hebrew, and like it's like pre like 1960, you say the t's as s's. It's the same thing.
I'm Jewish, I do not
GLBT.
speak Hebrew, but I know what she's talking about, whatever.
Somebody got it.
So,
you got it. You got it. Right, yeah.
So, but what kept
Hi.
going, hi, I don't know who else is here, but hi. But what kept going through my mind was that this is not really, it's not a gay film. Like I kept thinking, like when I was younger, they were like gay films and they were about gay things. And this is so relevant to the times, it's 2014, that it doesn't have to be called a gay film, and it's a gay film.
Right. We've come to the time, I think, where we were like shocked at the reception of this, but I sort of amended my philosophy after we were accepted and got distribution to thinking that, well, maybe we can, straight people can see their stories through our stories now, where it used to be the other way around. Gay writers would develop like beards and tell their story through straight prisms, but we can actually tell our stories and have straight people identify with them, which I thought was so cool, so fantastically cool, because really nobody gives half of, anything anymore, that I'm gay and, been married for a very long time, I mean,
Yeah, you used to
at
have
least
panache
around
to it.
North Jersey,
If you go to Ohio, you might
Yeah.
get a little more like that.
Right.
All right, so I'm going to play on that though. So let's think back. When I don't know how long ago this was, but when you start to go to movies, or when you really start to remember movies when you're going as a little kid, like maybe 14, 15, what was your favorite movie when you were like 14, 15?
Oh, 14, 15?
Yeah, like when you were 14, 15 years old, what movie do you remember going to with like your high school friends? And this question's for you too.
You start.
Orca.
Okay.
I don't know why, and I remember the music, and I remember the whale like sticking his mouth out, like with that, like he was going to kill the person that killed his baby, and as the first thing that came to my mind.
I still have
That's because she's from
I
California.
I do, and the ice breaking.
Was that 15?
Maybe it wasn't 15. Maybe it was like 9.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
Anyway.
because from California. She's thinking SeaWorld. She's getting a little confused.
No. But you should see the what is it? Oh shoot! What it was there? Blackfish.
Blackfish.
You should see Blackfish.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And what was yours? And there's a reason I'm asking this. I'm baiting you.
15?
I'm baiting you. Yes.
I don't know. Mel Brooks? Blazing Saddles?
All right. So let me redo this.
Mary
Then.
Poppins?
Okay.
Give them
All
the
right.
answer and
So-
then
Desert
Right, and then we'll work back.
I was the one who fell, which made that even funnier. Okay, so if we have a movie where there's like, all right, somebody yell out a movie in the last couple of years where it's been like a man and a woman as the head of a household. I'm trying to think of a movie, I can't even
Oh,
think.
I see.
Because I want you to recast it with two women and see how it's gonna happen. How it changes.
Like that darn cat?
Yes, that darn cat. I'm kidding.
Let's see, Fred McMurray would be played by Ellen DeGeneres.
Well, that's what I want.
And I don't know who played
I don't know. But that's my point, is that this film, to me, very successfully, you don't think about it as like, you know, it's a lesbian film, there are two women there. You really could, it could be a man and a wife married, or a guy and a guy, whatever. So that I thought was really, really cool.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get to the, can we get to the
Can I
music?
just ask a
Oh,
question
sure.
about that?
Yeah.
Do you feel like
It was all a dream. No, I'm just She asked about that, and it wasn't all a dream.
it wasn't?
It was a nightmare.
But do you feel like, in your experience of getting this film out there, did it reach the straight? Because that's one of the reasons that we wanted it, is because North Jersey Pride is really has a ton of allies involved, and so there's a very big straight contingent. And I wanted to get this film out to because the midlife crisis thing, we're all the same. Those of us who have kids, it doesn't matter. So did you feel like it is that for them? Did they see it that way?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that it got out to anywhere is marvelous. I mean, it was sold in 30 countries. Yeah, I don't know to the extent that a non-gay audience saw this film. I think people had more hopes than a non-gay audience. I don't really care, quite frankly. You know, I didn't make it for anybody in particular. You know, I hoped that. What I did hope was that my community would embrace it, because that was important to me.
Which I think they have, right?
But yes, but it was very hard. It's challenging material, because it's very hard to see ourselves in not a good light, to be anti-heroine, unsympathetic characters. It's very hard when we're people who tend to volunteer and people who tend to care for the world and other people, and we're not taught to see ourselves as the subject of our lives very often. And when we do, it's for the purpose of a fight, and not a selfish fight, you know. And like, people came up to my mother in Detroit and went, "I don't understand why she couldn't just volunteer." You know what I mean?
Just give another explanation.
I know. No, the lady that came up to my mother. Yeah.
So what actually inspired you? What was that initial, I need to do this, I have something to say?
I just wanted to do I knew that I wanted to do something where I didn't care about how she was perceived. I didn't really, I was always taught to not complain and don't fetch and don't say anything, and I found that because I did that, I kind of lost myself in my life, because I didn't speak up or do, because it was for everybody else for a very long time. And the problem is with that is that when you can't tell your own story, you can't see the good in other people's stories. You can't see the universality. You begin to not see color anymore. Everything becomes very dull. And so it was a very selfish pursuit, what I did. It was. I mean, making a film about yourself and your life in contrast to this lesbian hooker and acting out is kind of a selfish pursuit.
You mean that wasn't autobiographical?
Well, I think that the Abby midlife crisis part was a little autobiographical. I think the sex, all the sex stuff was to serve the plot goal. But I think after 20 years of marriage, it's sort of an easy target.
Wait, time out. 20 years of marriage, okay?
Yeah.
So let's
Both of
flash
us.
back to the
Both of us.
back to the movie for a second. Give us that look of disdain that you give throughout that whole film. Come on, do it in person.
I don't know what it is.
You give the entire film. You give this
That's like I don't know. I'm not aware of it. But I
you
do
barely
know.
smile in the whole film. There you go.
I
there's
know. But I do recall people saying to me from way back when in high school, They would say, "You just have this aura of bitch around you." And I was like,
Bitchy resting face.
"Really? I have a bitchy resting face. That's what it is."
It's a pretty bitchy resting.
Thank
face,
you.
so we'll take that.
Thank you.
All right, so a couple of things jumped out at me from the movie.
Ah.
The colors in the movie, they just, the color palette of the movie, the whole, the scene, like every scene that's sort of in the house, that's in the loft, what sort of drives that? Because for some reason. Nordstrom's. Okay, it was, but for some reason, it kind of felt like, it felt sort of chic, right? And it felt kind of like mundane, and it. But is that something, like, when you're making a movie, is that something you're like, oh, we have to make sure that the set, like, everything looks like this or a certain way?
Early titles for the film were Days of Beige and My Life as a Couch. So that gives you an idea of what I was going for.
Okay.
That.
Let's talk music for a
The
second.
beige one.
So we hear David Bowie in there. We see lots of T-shirts in there. Are you a big music fan?
Mhm.
Okay.
Those aren't
So-
necessarily my musical tastes. That was my ode to my wife, pretty
Okay.
much. A lot of people don't really know that one, but my wife is a huge Bowie fan and a huge Eno fan, and dealing with an artistic person in the house is sometimes very hard, sometimes very challenging, and in the Eno song, he talks about Lucy, hide your madness in a jar, but do be wow. And I think a lot of it is Allison was humming "Oh You Pretty Things" when we were editing the film, so I said stick that in there because she's really, I think, and that really worked very, very well. And then I was like, well, what could that end up being? At the end of the thing. And then Barb came on with, she was like, try Eno, and then I heard those lyrics with Eno, and I just went
He's a
nuts.
genius, by the way.
Because, I mean, that was about something very different. I mean, those original lyrics, I think it was about a drag queen, but it all was all about a drag queen back then. But I liked I wanted to make the film about madness, about kind of going mad, in that place of midlife, the crisis, and so, I think it was sort of an ode to Allison. I'm more of a Motown person myself.
That's because you're from Detroit. It's in your blood. Yeah. Yes, anyone in Detroit in the house? I don't think anyone else is from Detroit. Oh, that's right, we've got another Michigan, right? A Michiganer.
Michigander.
A Michigander, sorry. Julie, question for you. So, does everyone think you're gay? Just for the
I've
inside?
never
Or
been
no?
asked.
Okay. So was there,
Never
and
been
I
asked.
know.
Because everybody thinks you are. No.
Just passing. Okay. So and I know nothing about acting other than like appreciating, something on TV or something in the movies.
Right.
Was this like easy or hard to do the role, or is it like how do you prepare for something like this?
As you would for any role, figure out who you are, what you want, how you're going to try and go about getting what you want, and know what your point of view is on the situation and what your relationship is with the other person in the scene, who's the most important person in the scene for you. I mean, your partner is the most important person in the scene, so that's all I did, is what I would normally do for any type of scene work.
Got it. So
Yeah.
it's no different.
And Robin was just a great partner.
Mm-hmm.
Really, very generous, so that made it easy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's see what people have to ask. Who wants to ask something? I know a whole bunch of people do. Okay, I'm not gonna be like teacher go. Just go.
All right, do you envision that they stay together after the midlife crisis?
Yeah, I do.
And everything was gonna be forgiven that, I mean, was it that, why did she become a prostitute instead of maybe just having this wild, torrid affair with another woman?
That's a great question. I think that in processing it, when I was thinking about why she was becoming a prostitute, rather than thinking about taking on essentially a love affair. It's funny, I was watching the Gore Vidal documentary. He said that there were there were afternoon lovers, and then there were companions, and he said he didn't understand anything else. And it was interesting. I liked that point of view, because I think that she didn't want that. I think she had enough commitment in her life. I think that what she wanted is to find herself again. And what I wanted to do is, you can see her in every single Jane she has. And that, to me, is the fantastical part of the film. It's the character study part of the film. You can see her. If there's, people often ask me, who am I in the film? Like, not as if I'm anybody in the film. But if I was anybody in the film, it would be woman number one, the college student that she meets, because I just identify with that
I
character.
love that she is fat girl.
Well, I mean,
And I
that,
say like that in the sweetest way.
I mean,
do.
well, I mean, and Daria, we have a sort of a kindred spirit, and I think back to that first kiss and that time, and I just found that that's so sweet, and I remember that so fondly, and I wanted to put that first kiss and that progression, and so I wanted to see her as a mother, but also her as a child. I wanted to see her as a daughter. I wanted to see her as a friend. I wanted to see her in all these different ways that you can't see her because she's just a mother and a wife, you know? And I wanted her to see her in all these fresh ways where she didn't have to beg and scream and yell about everything she wanted. I wanted her to just be, able to be calm and cool again in these situations. And so, but she didn't want the commitment. She didn't want a commitment. She didn't want that. I think what blew her lid off was when she saw this couple who had this obviously open relationship, who were so passionate about each other, and they had figured it all out, and they were straight. And these heterosexuals had figured it all out. We were the ones that were supposed to be so liberated. What happened to us? We're sitting here in the suburbs, and we're fighting for our equality, but to what end? This is about our sexual freedom. This is about being able to be who we were, and we are so heteronormative now. And we don't even think outside the bun at all, We're just so used to being, whatever, and I won't go on and on and on about it.
She's really questioning why that woman wanted her when she already had passion. She's like, I'm in it because I don't have passion, but what the hell are you in it for?
Yeah, this is folly to you.
I think it was just like, why are you doing
At that point, she absolutely hated her. She was repulsed
I'll
by
take out
her.
the garbage rather than talk to you.
Yeah, you want everything. You have everything. Your beautiful house, your lacrosse, your master of the universe husband, and passion.
But
to
can I
boot,
tell you that that's one of the pieces that I loved, is that in general, like one of the big secrets of life is that you look at people from the outside and you think, oh, that person's got their shit together, they know what they're doing. You see all these things, but you never know what's going on inside somebody's head. You never know what's going on inside their relationship. You never know what they're attracted to in somebody else. So I thought that was also played out brilliantly throughout the whole thing.
Well, and Maggie played it very well. Maggie Siff, who is the straight woman, who played Sam Bennett, because she looked at her and she's like, we both are bored. So she's like, don't pretend to know me. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's passionate about me. And she's like, but if he's passionate about you, what's the
What are you
problem?
doing?
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Let me ask you something. Between you and the writer, you're the director, very well done.
Thank you.
When you saw it together, did you consider it a finished work, the film itself? As a spectator, as an outsider, how do you see it? Do you see yourself realized, achieved, personally, not from an artistic perspective? Did you get what you wanted to say originally?
Yeah, I think that the expectations were so low by going in for
That's a good motto.
myself.
Keep your expectations
My
low.
expectations were so low that pretty much, at some point, to go with the beginning of what we were talking about, I mean, I think that my self-esteem at that point was probably like over down there somewhere around the corner. So I think like the progression of being able to at least just kind of crawl out and say this You know, I mean, to the extent that I could do it again and say something else and have it be more fully realized would be interesting. I'm not sure if that'll come to be. So, we'll see.
I think somebody back there had go.
So, I love the kids.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the kids a little bit?
Sure.
Like,
You know the kids.
yeah, what was it like working with those kids?
Who
Well,
are the kids? So she knows the
my
kids.
kids.
Those were your
She
kids
knows
that
my
played the kids?
Yeah.
And your kid was in it too?
Yeah.
How come my kids weren't in it? I'm kidding, go ahead. Sorry.
So Julie worked with the kids. Julie was the kids' acting coach. So they trusted Julie because they knew her. You know, she was my friend. And I thought that, you know, one time, when time came to record, you know, she had worked with them so well that we just decided to use them. I'd asked my mom about it. I'd asked Allison about it, my wife, and I asked Rose, the producer, and I asked Robin, and Marin looked like Robin a lot, so we felt like it was the right thing to do. I mean, right or wrong, I don't know. I think they did a pretty good job.
Very good.
Did a great job.
I was proud. I was pretty proud of them. Yeah, they just saw their scenes. I will tell you a funny story though. The film closed the Montclair Film Festival last year, and the school invites the kids at the Montclair Film Festival to draw on this little film strip piece of paper their favorite movie. So kids were drawing not Frozen at that time, but you know, like
Yeah,
Mary
like any
Poppins,
Disney thing, any
Disney thing.
Superman thing, any Marvel thing.
And they put it up at Learning Express on the corner, you know, like all across, you know, and people are, you know, come and they look, oh, that's cute, oh, that's interesting, oh, Lion King, or whatever. And my daughter, both of my kids did Concussion. And it was hilarious, and I was mortified because I thought like my daughter wrote the one, you know, the woman laying on the bed, and she didn't. She did the family scene, but they were proud of it.
She
Anyway,
called
the point-
Dapus on you.
Good.
Somebody else, yeah.
It's more like a comment. The kids are adorable, but I liked how peripheral they were, how they really, there was no focus on the kids. And in fact, I actually had seen the movie on Netflix before, and when I first saw it, and the scene where, right at the beginning where she gets hit in the head, I just identified so much with that as a parent, because you get figuratively hit in the head every day, and they just don't even give a shit. They're just like, oh, sorry, I just farted in your face, I don't fucking care. So,
I love that you get that. That's so funny.
I so identified that it was so perfect.
They're so
a great way to open it up.
ruthless. Yeah. I'm caring children.
But what's great is that you were able to put it right out there in the first scene.
Yes.
And she says, you little shit.
Little shit.
You know, because we don't like to see ourselves that way as parents.
I remember Robin had a hard time with that because she doesn't have kids. She doesn't have kids.
Oh, she doesn't have kids.
And she was like, well, I'll do it, but I'm like, okay, so you'll do all these sexual acts, but she's like, it's really a tough way to meet her. I'm like, what? I was like, you know, like I'm open to changing a lot of stuff, but like on this, I really must insist, you know? And she's like, well, I mean, who does that? And I'm like, I just started rethinking everything.
Wait, I thought I saw another hand. I'll keep asking people.
Can I ask one more question?
No, you can't. You've asked to. Let other people speak. Go. Behind you. Sorry.
I just wanted to say, along the same lines of what Hannah's saying, that I loved that the unspoken character in the movie was the giant piled laundry bag. That's like the everyman of every marriage. In fact, I had an enormous
My friend
fight with my family today about
laundry.
about my ongoing hate of the whole laundry situation.
My friend Chessie is always she's an incredibly brilliant writer. Like she's at she's a published author. She's incredible. Francesca Castanelli. I call her up sometimes and I'm like, and I'm telling you that because of what she says. She's like, I'm like, where are you right now, Chess? She's like, I'm in my office. And by her office, she means her laundry room, you know? I'm in my office. She spends hours there.
But I love that, and then the way that they're sort of acknowledging that they're going forward and repairing the marriage is that they're gonna do the wraparound porch. It's like, I'm gonna give you your porch, and you're gonna sort of jump back in.
Part of
The
why,
board's not gonna repair the sex.
part of why I love that is from that whole scene about, at the party where they're like, you should've, you should go home and fuck her, is a really funny line. So how do you come up with that dialogue? Because that was a really.
Chelsea came up with that, actually. They had a party where they were talking about how they should have, and I wanted to punch her in the face. I just remember just being literally upset with my life, and she was like, and Jill said you should read better books, and you should have, and I just went home and I wrote the scene, and I was like, you should fuck her once in a while. I mean, they didn't do you should fuck her once in a while, but I just thought that was the end of that scene, you know? I was like, oh, I'll tell you what you should do, you know? You know?
So, the music though, I just wanna, no, I'm gonna avoid the music. I'm gonna avoid the music for a second.
We have a question, Bill, just asking,
Get.
the one about, hot yoga at the end, she said, I guess I'll just go do some hot yoga. What does it represent?
The hot yoga class.
Well, he said you were gonna just go do some hot yoga, like, is that going back to the old cycle, or?
In my feeling of it, in my interpretation of it, she doesn't have to bitch and moan to her friends anymore about what she wants. She's found it. And my feeling about that is that, like, I find that my most self-actualized friends are kind of the people that don't talk about stuff, you know? They're not sitting there and bitching about everything. They're kind of just taking their path. And I feel like it was really, she obviously doesn't want that. She's just saying that, you know, to appease her friend. She's just gonna do something, you know, what are you doing? She's obviously gonna, she's not talking, right? She's not talking anymore. She's not, because the last time she talked, look what happened, you know, to her. So she's not talking anymore. And in my mind, I think, you know, somebody asked me if it was sort of not that I practice this, so like, you know, I wouldn't say that, you know, but I think that my mind really expanded in the making of this film, because I remember I used to judge people who had open marriages or did other things or whatever, and I'd be like, what the hell is that? You know, and I'm just much more pan understanding now about all different types of things, from just understanding about relatives and their struggles, and I think there's some really great, when you have that badge of a long-term relationship, I think it's nice to be able to turn around and go, I get it. It's hard. This is hard, and it doesn't, you know, it's not easily explainable, you know, and it doesn't, you know, you can't explain everything at the end. So I think that the end, that hot yoga thing is really just, I have it, and maybe I'll be hooking, maybe I'll be doing this, maybe I'll be doing that. We originally had that ending, but we took it out because we felt like, you know what, it's her business. You know?
Can I switch gears for half a second? Because I want to get to a whole bunch of sex scenes. One, the opening sex scene was hysterical, right? When she's in bed with her and she does that. It was so perfectly uncomfortable at times when she starts to, you know, be a call girl or whatever, and meeting people up in the loft and stuff. It's so, maybe I'm just a big prude, but part of it was so like, like I wanted to scream, and then I was like, okay, and then my emotions were just like kind of going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between a lot of those sex scenes. And so this is sort of a two-parter. One, I know nothing about filming, so are they weird to film? Or is it mechanical? That's one.
Well, I just had two.
Yes. No, I know. You also-
Robin had
I
a
know.
lot. I had two. No, they weren't. For me, it
That was a
wasn't
silly
weird
question.
to film. I just focused on Robin, and I tried to forget about the other stuff except Stacy in the other room yelling something out.
Was I yelling?
I don't know. You were clutching your pearls. No, that was in a different scene. No, it wasn't, you kind of just have to forget about everything else except the person that you're with.
Okay.
Or else you're not going to be there.
Okay.
And then you're going to be playing at something, and then that's really uncomfortable to watch.
And, okay, and so then back to you, because.
Were you aroused? No, I'm just kidding.
That's a good question.
I mean,
Acting people.
were you in the scene?
Well, I was totally in the scene.
I think she might be blushing, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a little warm.
But the scenes, you know, when she's with all the different people she's coming in and out with. And then there's actually one scene that stuck out in my head where she's with the girl who lives in town with her, and you feel like that all of a sudden the shift happens, like she's not just kind of working, all of a sudden she's enjoying. Did I imagine that, or that happens, that shift?
She's enjoying, yeah.
Yes. I don't know, my point is.
She's accessing her, she's getting into the rhythm of things. She's accessing her animal self.
And do you think about it, like when you were writing it, though, were you thinking about, I'm amazed at the
thing
whole
to
writing
play-
process.
I wanted the whole thing to play like one big orgasm. Like I wanted it to start like with a kiss and then build and build and build and build and build and build.
And you actively thought about that before you started, or?
Yes.
Okay, I don't write films, I don't know these
Well,
things.
you know, because women are kind of strange beings. They like, you know, they talk a lot and they like a lot of foreplay, and they don't, you know, I mean, you know, there's, you know, I think that there's, you know, I just wanted to move it in that arc, and also that's the narrative arc as well. So.
Okay.
Did you go back and get with the first girl that you didn't want to get with, that was too young? Did that her somewhere later on? The Asian? Yes, you was, right?
Oh, no, that was a different Asian.
It kind of looked like you did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Ashley.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny, the casting process was really, really catch as catch can. If you can, you know, a lot of people are like, why didn't you have this or this or this or this, or this was confusing or whatever, or this girl looked like Maggie Siff, the girl that hit her looked like Maggie Siff, and there's no women of color in it, and da-da-da, whatever. And honestly, I just was trying to get anybody to do it. 'Cause it was my first film, you know? So it was
Is there a
just very-
casting couch or?
Hey,
Why are you?
she's
I'll
ready to
go
be
for
in
the
your
next
next
one.
film. She's ready to be in your next one. So, okay, I'm gonna ask one more question, then we're gonna do a speed round, because we actually do have to wrap up.
Okay.
So, what do you have in the works? Both of you, what do you have in the works? Wait, can I tell them one thing?
Sure.
Let's see if you could guess what she's been on, and I'm gonna give you the clue. Dum dum.
Law and Order.
Law and Order. There you go.
But you know what? Every actor in the tri-state area has been on the Law and Order, so there you go.
Okay, so what do you have in the works coming up?
Nothing acting-wise. I'll be directing in the fall.
Well, what do you do?
I'm directing As You Like It for BFA students at Pace University in New York City. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Fantastic.
Julie's an amazing director.
Thank you. And actress.
And
that.
professor.
And professor. And mother. And wife. And escort, no. Okay.
No.
No. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I might be shooting in the fall, but I don't want to talk it away.
Oh, okay, got it.
But
Like if
it
you
could
could have
all
everything
come
happen?
together, or it could all fall apart.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's about a woman who, it's not a gay film. It's a woman who is an old woman who, it's based on a Detroit murder that happened, the Sandy Lane murder. She's an older Jewish grandmother who kills her 17-year-old grandson, and it actually happened. And I just felt like it was a very compelling subject matter. And so the Sundance Institute is backing that, and the Tribeca Film Institute is backing that, and hopefully we'll be shooting it in the fall.
Cool.
If it all works out.
All right, we will keep our fingers crossed. All right, speed rounds for you. I'm sorry, I can give you a speed round next time. Okay?
No worries.
Okay. Speed round for you. You ready? You have to pick one. I'm gonna ask you a couple. Bowie or Talking Heads? I should have asked your whites this question apparently. David Bowie or Talking Heads?
Bowie.
Bowie. Okay,
Is that right? That's what I'd pick. Okay.
that's what I would pick too. That's all I'm saying. Antique white or khaki?
Me?
Yes.
Antique white.
All right, here we go. All right, spring or summer?
Spring.
Why spring?
Because Julie just told me to say spring.
All right, Julie, you can answer these too. although
Because
this
of
one
the
may not make
flowers.
sense to you.
Because of the flowers.
Because everything's bursting out, everything's blooming.
Because of the
That doesn't happen in
blooming.
California, does it?
No.
No, we have seasons here.
I
California's
know,
still-
that's why I like the East
All right.
Coast.
Okay,
See?
I'll give you my honest answer to that.
Winter?
Fall. Yeah.
Fall, okay, there you go. All right, Pistons or Red Wings?
Piston.
Ah, all
Pistons.
Oh, come on.
Pistons.
right.
I'm not basketball.
Okay, Casting.
Tigers. Who said who cares?
Detroit Tigers did do very well. Sorry. Casting couch or Mile High Club?
Casting couch. I get it, you're saying.
Nutella or Cool Whip?
Cool Whip. Sorry.
How old are you? I'm kidding.
44.
All right, and then this is the last one, and you better give the right answer. There's actually
30,
really
39. I'm 39.
Sundance or Montclair?
Are
You,
you
that
backing,
one you could say both.
are you backing the next project?
I had a really good time in Sunday. It's Montclair.
All right, thank you so much, both of you.